For those of you looking to build a custom keyboard or are curious about what goes into putting one together, this video is going to dive into what parts make up the anatomy of a custom mechanical keyboard. Let's first take one of my keyboards that I have apart so that we can dive into how these are put together. So I was gonna do this whole thing where I, take this whole keyboard apart and everything, but the switches are not coming out very cooperatively. And I've only been able to manage to get these 3 switches out right here. But basically, I guess that that's what I'll have to make do, and well, I'll have to manage from there. Oh well, that sucks. So, what goes into a custom keyboard? First, there's the PCB. This is the heart of the keyboard. It's basically the technology that communicates with your PC to make it function. PCBs are also similar to a motherboard for a PC, so if you're familiar with that sort of stuff, you can kind of think of it like that. Switches. These are the mechanical switch mechanisms that communicate with the PCB to tell it when a key is pressed. Stabilizers, or better known as stabs. These keep the bigger keys like a spacebar, enter, and shift keys stabilized so that they can be pressed from any part of the switch. Plate. This helps to align the switches with the PCB and keep them held in place. Mounting points. This is the way that the PCB, plate, and switch assembly are mounted to the case. I'll dive deeper into this in another video, but just know that in the case of this keyboard right here, it's these little squishy nubs. Case. This is the part that houses all the components. Keycaps. These are the plastic keys that are placed on top of the switches that you touch when you type on a keyboard. Any extra parts to a keyboard may include stuff like foam, batteries, weights, lights, accents, knobs, etc. And this pretty much summarizes the general construction of custom keyboards. When buying custom keyboard kits, the bare minimum that they can come with is the case and whatever may be necessary to mount the PCB, plate, and switch assembly to the case. Some kits come with PCBs, plates, stabs, foam, etc., but it all just depends on the keyboard kit. However, as a general rule of thumb, it is pretty common for the kits to come with a PCB and plate, but it is expected that the customer buys their own switches, keycaps, and stabilizers separately. In terms of how you're supposed to find these kits and parts and find what you want, a lot of it comes down to personal preference. A lot of the decisions you make for your custom keyboard build, you kind of have to have experience with stuff already to know what you really want. So my best advice is to just start out with buying parts that you think you might like, and once you try things out, figure out what it is that you actually like. For switches in specific, there are these big giant key switch testers you can buy with a bunch of different switches on them, and from there you can figure out what it is that you like and are looking for in a switch. For everything else though, it really comes down to just experiencing things. For people in the Phoenix, Arizona area, I recommend joining the Key Devils Discord. They're an ASU-based mechanical keyboard community, and they hold meetups monthly. Meetups are a great place to experience new things in the hobby without spending your money just to find out you don't like something. For places to look for kits and parts, I recommend content creator Alex Zotto's vendor list, where you can find a bunch of different resources for places to buy kits and parts. My last recommendation for people just getting started on the hobby is to just get involved with the community. Talking to people within the hobby is always a great way to learn new things and to just get involved. And I hope this video was helpful as a general guide for the anatomy of keyboards and also as a way to get started on diving into the rabbit hole that is the mechanical keyboard hobby.